Hey, it's Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. We're here at the ITEXPO TECHSUPERSHOW in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's the 25th anniversary, the 41st event, and the year is 2024. And Alan Masarek is with us. He is the president and CEO of AVAYA. Alan, welcome. How are you?
Rich, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And congratulations, 25 years. That's terrific.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it was like a blink of an eye, you know?
I get it.
So again, you've had a storied career during the last quarter century as well, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit, but I wanted to start off talking about your awesome keynote that you gave today. Can you give people an overview in case they missed it?
Well, that's super kind. So we just finished the keynote, and what I wanted to talk about in the keynote was not so much about the company, but more about the industry. And my view from the CEO's position, I'm on my own board, but I've been on several other public boards as well. And I was thinking about speaking to an audience at the Expo, which is, how do we reset the language between how IT folks talk about all the innovations, and how does a CEO or a board see the same? And that led to a whole variety of other topics that we got to dip into, which is, what are the metrics that we track? Again, tying them to business performance. And then the other is, so often everyone is chasing this innovation that we all have to do, but fundamentally they're sort of disrupting too much to get to the innovation. So at AVAYA, we have created this concept of innovation without disruption. And in effect, it says, how do I get all this new innovation, this modernization, on top of my existing investments so I get to value right away without having to go through this elongated disruption curve, often referred to as the J curve. And that's what we talked about. And I think it was well received. So it was kind of fun doing it.
Is that the same as a forklift upgrade?
In some ways, it is when you do a forklift upgrade, often the J curve happens, meaning I'm going to rip it all out and I'm going to go do a big upgrade. Often the challenge is, you think that upgrade where the only reason you're doing an upgrade is because you think you're going to get to a better solution. But the pain, the disruption, the fundamental business risk you go through trying to get there, that's what's really, really tough to predict. And so the idea of the J is the bottom part, when your performance is worse and you have to go through that pain to get to the promised innovation. And all too often you see these projects that have gone on for years and have not delivered the promised innovation. So what we're saying is, innovation can happen without disruption. Get immediate time to value. Get the stuff you want to modernize without ripping out many of your existing investments.
So if I take those points, if you talk about the industry, take that, the industry, we talk about disruption, we talk about innovation, and I put that together, we've seen a lot of innovation disruption in the industry in the last quarter century, right? And so there was a time when, you had digital telephones, but we weren't using voice over IP, and there was no VoIP. There was, things were very different. We didn't do VoIP in hardware, or we did it in hardware, not software. Like, so many things have changed. How is your company now positioning itself in this new competitive world to succeed?
So AVAYA has been around for those 25 years. Obviously, our lineage goes back to AT&T. What's so interesting in terms of how we set ourselves up competitively, it's around this notion of innovation without disruption. So you think about who our customer base is. We bias to the largest deployments on the planet, and we're enormously global. These very large companies or governmental agencies or what have you everywhere, they don't want to rip out the existing solutions, whether it's communication solutions or a variety of other enterprise software solutions. What they want to do is they want to augment it, they want to add to it. So we all know that voice is not the pure channel of communication, it's obviously omni-channel. So you want to get to chat and social and digital and web quickly. And obviously the impact of AI, particularly in the customer experience market, is huge. Why rip out the core plumbing to get to the good stuff? leave the core plumbing in place and immediately get to the good stuff. That's what innovation without disruption is. Because we know we're not, a customer is not interacting with a brand on voice. It's all the other omni-channels. And the impact of AI is huge as well. So the whole idea is eliminate the negative, the disruption of that innovation, keep what you have intact, and go to chat and social and digital and what have you. There's two undeniable trends. We know that premise architected solutions are over time giving way to cloud. At the same time, voice-based solutions are being supplanted with digital solutions. The idea is it's happening gradually, and it's happening at different rates in different companies or different geographies of the world, or whether your company is super large or complex or highly regulated or what have you. The point is you want to provide as a vendor, our whole strategy competitively is saying, Mrs. Customer, you can stay intra-AVAYA as you go through that trend, prem to cloud and voice to digital, never having to go through the disruption that is going to cause you fundamental business risk. That's the idea.
Fantastic. And so your customers have certainly been evolving, and their businesses have been disrupted by this move to work from home, hybrid work. How are you dealing with that?
So hybrid work is, it's a terrific thing for our types of solutions. You have to, and again, when you think about sort of the core customer experience solutions, and just take like an agent experience. That agent may be someone who takes a 2-hour shift from home while, let's say, somebody while the baby's sleeping. You have to be able to include that person on a hybrid basis versus somebody also who's in the office and everything in between. And you got to do it on a global basis. So the idea of hybrid work says it doesn't matter where you are or whether you are there for a little bit amount of time or a full shift or what have you. What's important about that is brands, our customers, our collective customers, everyone's having to differentiate based upon customer experience. Well, think about the first interaction you have as a customer with a brand. Often it's the agent. But if that agent is somebody who is brand new, they're not going to provide you particularly good service. So you want to be able to have a good employee experience so that you can get more tenured agents, because they can be flexible. They can work for 2 hours on when the child is sleeping, or they can be in the office or something in between, what have you. You want to be able to get agents that are more tenured, and you want to use these solutions so they can solve the customer's queries, and you want to deflect as much of that activity as you can using AI. So the solution is given to the customer. That makes the agent happy and certainly makes the customer happy. You find lower turnover among agents and the ability for more senior agents to deliver a better customer experience.
Now, I've argued for many years that the communications industry has infinite amounts of data because of all these conversations, and if we can mine it with AI, there's just so much more opportunity for the vendors and the community and the ecosystem and the end customers. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's exactly right. I think the thing about voice has been treated like an analog stream of data. It's not. So when you use elements of NLU, natural language understanding, and you transcribe, you're taking something that's analog and converting it into digital. It's not different than something that started as digital, whether it's chat or social or web or what have you. It's a massive amount of data which traditionally does go wasted. And that is the richest data of the interactions. So the ability to inform the models using AI tools around that data is really, really important.
That's a good point. So now, as all this voice, which we used to think of as analog, or maybe some people still do, it's really digital. Now that it is digital, it is more prone to hacking. So what are your thoughts on cybersecurity?
Well, cybersecurity is key. I mean, and again, just by nature of moving from premise architected to cloud-based solutions, You're creating a more open environment. The risks of a cyber attack are greater. The attraction of some of the premise architected solutions is you can really close down, and it's less prone to some of the cyber attacks. The task of creating ever greater security is harder in a cloud environment. I know we are investing heavily into that. It's just critically important, and there's just no way around it. You have got to be expert in that area.
Makes good sense. Now, collaboration has also become so much more important as of the pandemic, and Microsoft Teams is one of the leaders there. How are you positioning your company to potentially interoperate, or how do you see that environment and the UCaaS or the voice providers working together?
So, the macro theme that's happening, not just from Teams but others, is that what we used to refer to as UCaaS is really becoming UC&C, Unified Communications and Collaboration. We sit all day long interacting with sort of the collab solution that our customer has that our companies have selected. And obviously the collab solution is voice, is screen share, is concurrent messaging.
Right.
So while you still see telephony-only solutions, you do still see those, where the UC is moving to UCaaS, or even staying as UC, it's increasingly being driven by collab. So Teams is, just as the largest player in that market, is becoming, their objective is sort of be the enterprise OS in many respects. They want you to live in the Teams environment. But it's no different if you go to other of the integrated solutions, whether it is Zoom, whether it's Cisco with WebEx, whether it's Google Meet, whether it's RingCentral. They're all integrated solutions with collab, obviously, video, audio, messaging, concurrent screen share.
Fantastic. So Avaya recently emerged from restructuring. How do you feel about the current financial position?
So we're very fortunate. When I got here about 18 months ago, this was sort of the transformation project that I wanted to do. And I had left my previous company, Vonage, 2 years earlier, and I took a stab at retirement, but didn't do retirement very well. But it was very clear to me that Avaya, which is the granddaddy brand in our industry, obviously, we needed a financial restructuring and a business restructuring. So the financial restructuring we did last year. It was completed the 1st of May last year. We really were very fortunate. We got to a brilliant result. So we fully delevered. Virtually all the debt was eliminated, and those lenders put in $650 million of fresh capital. And along the way, we also right-sized our cost structure. So now you have a company of a couple $2 billion in revenue that's back to generating attractive cash flows. You have very modest amounts of debt, lots of cash, and you're generating cash. So the way I like to describe it is, if you think about companies of our size, I don't know whose balance sheet I'd trade places with. We are really, really strong. So by virtue of having sort of big green check mark on the financial restructuring, all focus is on the business side. So, and we've been doing this throughout, but it's resetting product strategy, go to market, relaunching the brand around this notion of choose your journey, about innovation without disruption, revitalizing our culture, bringing in more talent into the organization. All those foundational steps that are necessary in order to transform a company. Had we not taken care of the financial stuff and we got to a brilliant result, kind of would have all been for naught. So we're super strong financially, and we made a great deal of progress in all the business restructuring along the way.
Fantastic. So what's your vision for the future?
I think, from the macro trend that I saw, the thesis when I came to Avaya was really that everything is all about CX, all about customer experience. So I do not characterize us as a communications company. I think of us as a CX company. So remember, I've been in this industry a long time. I go back, years ago, we used to think of ourselves as modalities. I do video, I do voice, I do messaging. Then later, enterprise communications came along and said, well, I do a slice of the customer segment. I do the knowledge worker, and that's UC or UCAS, or I do the agent, CC or CCAS. The reality, it's all converging. And so where we used to think of things just for the knowledge worker or just an inbound motion to the agent, that is just not where the world's going. I see the world around CX, which is inbound, outbound, completely omni-channel. The impact of AI is dramatic. And the deployment is, what I mean by that is prem, cloud, public or private, and hybrid is what works for the client. What works for that company. We had this religious war a few years ago. It was like, prem bad, cloud good. That is not the point. The point is outcomes based. How do you maximize business performance? And it's all around CX. Remember, the brand needs to differentiate itself based upon customer experience, because the old days, pre-internet, you used to differentiate yourself on product, price, and availability. That's tougher and tougher. You got to differentiate about experience, and that's what we're driving.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Rich. Thanks so much.